What's up, Ramblers? Before we start, make sure you hit that subscribe button for this daily podcast to never miss an episode. And follow us on YouTube at Assistance HQ for all the latest content and behind the scenes on the Ramblings. It's a whole lot of assistance going on. And now, a moment from our sponsor. What's up, podcast? We're back, and I'm happy to announce that I have held near and dear, true to heart, posting every single day, an episode a day for the Ramblings, for this podcast. So, this isn't an official studio. I just had to do my own round of applause for that. We are officially now, this week so far, having posted an episode every day. I don't know when this particular episode is going to air. However, it's not for tomorrow because I already have episodes tomorrow recorded. Tomorrow's episode's recorded. I said episodes tomorrow. So, however, we're getting into work ethic and hustle today because I'm bringing it back to our very first episode of live or any type of social media doing speaking like this. So the very first thing I was talking about was consistency. And I kind of fell off with that from week one because I have not been as consistent making content, producing content, and putting it out there. So I really want to get back to the roots of what kind of started everything and how this was supposed to grow, which was consistency, which really gets into hustle and work ethic because I haven't been DoorDashing as of recently, but that's just because I'm waiting for a card. I'm normally DoorDashing, doing my business, and now I'm going to be doing stocks and forex added to it. So it's a non-stop, constant hustle, and that really is what work ethic is. I feel like that's the street term almost for it. It's not talked about as much, but hustle is your work ethic. How hard are you willing to hustle? How hard is your work ethic? So they can go one in one, hand in hand, because your hustle and your work ethic are how you feel and how you are mentally prepared to take on the challenges of your workday or your task or whatever you have at hand. You could be entrepreneuring, selling hats. What kind of hustle do you have selling hats? Now, what if you're selling hats, working at McDonald's, and at night you're a security guard? You have a serious hustle going on where you're trying to have different streams or multiple streams of income coming in, and that takes a work ethic. You're at that level, you're trying to bring in and you're doing quality work because you understand that that's your name. And if you are known for a hustle, to be someone that hustles and works hard workers usually always have great work ethics, actually. So I really want to bring it back to the roots of hustling and staying consistent with whatever it is, which is why I've dedicated, this whole quarantine to going live every single day, because my Facebook and my Instagram don't get as much attention, or the audience isn't as large in terms of people listening, watching, and everything. However, over time, consistency, it's only going to grow. And so that's why I'm bringing, this particular podcast back to the lives that I used to do when I was doing push-ups in my bedroom for workout, for Stretch Your Mind, is because the consistency and I feel like the hustle and work ethic in myself has fallen off. So I've had, sometimes you have to take a step back, look at yourself and really, really think, am I going as hard as I can be? Am I procrastinating? Am I not hitting my own deadlines? Am I not? What am I doing, and what could I be doing better? So, and I took that look inside of myself and I said, you know what? I don't feel like I'm going hard enough. I need to go harder. So I'm doing a whole bunch of content today. So like yesterday, I put on my to-do list, I need to, come up with more virtual networking meetings, because with all of this coronavirus and everything, my main way of getting clients before was going to actual networking meetings. So I've kind of slacked off with going out to virtual networking meetings, only because I don't even know. Let's just call it laziness, procrastination, not wanting to do it. I felt terrible. I hate that feeling. Oh my gosh. It feels like I'm just not doing enough. And some of you might know what I mean. Like, for the entrepreneurs, owners, and like real hustlers out there, you understand what I mean when you say you feel like you're just not doing enough. And it's because subliminally in your mind, you know you're not doing enough. You're not going as hard as you could have. You know that when you're supposed to be waking up at 5:45, however, for whatever reason, you woke up at 6:15, 6:30. It's still not, it's still before 7 o'clock. It's still very early, but it's not the time you were supposed to get up. It's it's not sticking to your own guns, not the standard of what everyone else is saying. Oh, well, it's only you're still getting up before 7. That's still good enough. No, when you set out for this business and you set out to say I'm going to get up at 5:45 in the morning, you didn't say, well, I can sleep until 6:45. You picked 5:45 for a reason. So stick to your guns. Don't worry about what other people are saying. Stick to your guns. You set that time for a specific reason. So why are you not holding yourself to that standard? Don't worry about someone else's standard, the norm standard, society standard, whatever standard the person approaching or telling you is. Listen, unless they're telling you you need to, follow your standard and get up at 5:45, it doesn't make sense. Because if you told yourself you're going to get up at 5:45, there's a reason for that. They don't know that reason. You might need that amount of time in a day. I know I do. That's why I set my alarm for 5:45. I also set it for 6 because I know myself. So I know I give myself a cap of 6 o'clock to wake up, but I want to be up at 5:45, and I try to hold myself to staying disciplined enough to getting up at 5:45. And it's your own standard. It's your personal standard, your own work ethic and hustle. That's what it really means to be an entrepreneur. That's when I talk about keys a lot in different, keys to success, or that's what it really means to do this and everything. However, it's a lot that goes into being an entrepreneur. However, there are a lot of traits that other entrepreneurs can agree upon that are just, consistent throughout each entrepreneur. Work ethic and hustle are one of those. Discipline, self-discipline is another. Humility, staying humble. It's a different world, So the work ethic and hustle is really now out here timing to shine. And so going back to whatever you're doing during the day, when you're not doing enough. That's why that little voice in the back of your head says hustle harder, because he knows that you could be going harder. It's similar. Oh, okay. I have a perfect example. I remember I was walking through the mall with my dad and my brother one day. This is I was playing sports, so I was probably in like 7th, 8th grade, and the guy had like those flex bands. And for those of you that were high school sports stars, or like even middle school, like just played sports in general, the gear that was coming out, in the anytime between, let's just say, 2005 and 2015, because that's my middle school, high school time. There was a sports band that was supposed to make you stronger, more balanced, and be able to stretch and be more flexible. I don't know if you guys remember this, but it was a band. It was a phenomenon kind of thing that everybody was getting. It was like supposed to be like a sports band that made you more flexible and you could do different things. Like it allowed you to like unlock your it just said it like did some molecular balance thing where you could do more things. And what the test was he put the band on your wrist and said stretch your arm out. So you stretch your arm out, and then he says without moving, move your arm to the back, as far back as you can. And then he says move it a little bit further. And you're like, dang, I didn't know my arm could go that far. Then he says further. And you're like, oh snap, my arm can't go back that far. It must be because of the band. No, it's because you actually tried harder than what you were. It's almost like running first place in a race. Is that really your hardest? You don't know until someone approaches next to you and you get that little kick like, oh, you can't beat me. You weren't going your hardest if you were able to have that burst. If you are able to make a burst and say, you know what? No, you weren't going as hard as you thought you were. I hope that makes sense and that came out right. I'm going to have to go in depth on that. You understanding that you weren't go hard as you can, unregrettably. And a lot of people, and don't kid yourself on it either. Don't kid yourself. Don't lie to yourself. That's the worst thing that can happen is if you lie to yourself about that workout, saying that you're going to go harder and pretending to go harder. Because that can be very obscure. That can be very misconstrued nowadays on pretending to go harder and acting like you're going harder. Versus actually doing and going harder. And I've experienced that almost firsthand. Because the age that we're in, where social media plays a huge part of our business structure, of everyone's business, not everyone, obviously, but the majority of small businesses, companies, and influencers and agencies, social media is a core part of how they run their business, their brand, and everything. So that has changed how we do business. So if you are a startup business, your first step is probably going to be, let me go make social media pages for my business. That's fine and well, but are you actually making a plan with that? What are you trying to do? What is your branding plan, your marketing plan? Why do you have these pages? So you can just post what it is? How are you going to engage with your community? How are you going to maintain that community? How are you going to maintain new content, posting content? What is your schedule going to be like? There's a lot of things that go into it where people just say, you know what, I'm just going to go in and start posting a couple of things and just hope. No, there has to be some form of plan, which is why I say do, execute, repeat. You can go in and do, but then you have to go back and plan. You're not going to get good with just doing. You have to execute. You have to do, fail, plan, do, and execute. And that process not being implemented in how a lot of people are doing their business today. They're just doing a lot of doing. They're not executing. They're stopping at the doing because they're not taking what they've done. They're not learning from their experiences. They're not taking and collecting the data. They're just doing. And doing is fine, but it doesn't get you anywhere unless you execute. Which is why I said execute is the activity of doing, however, with just the data and knowledge of your previous doings. People are doing and not taking anything that they've already done and applying it to what they're going to do in the future. It really almost irks my nerves, man, because it's like, how can this be your dream or what you're saying that you're going to do be in business and you have no plan? That's my 2 cents on that. And it's very easy to get distracted because with social media, like you get caught up in the idea of trying to live that lifestyle on social media without actually putting in that work. And it's changed, so you feel like you might seem like you're, doing work where it's like you're living that lifestyle of being your own business owner or your own boss and everything, where in reality, you're just kind of curating your pictures to make it seem like you're something that you're not. And that's fraud almost, that's a false image for your business. And it's not going to hold up. The water at some point is going to burst. Someone at some point or somewhere is going to be down the line. Hey, so where's the actual show for this? This is what you're posting, but what's the show? Where's the knowledge behind it? What are you doing? So it's social media has become so integrated in our business structure that we can now fool ourselves into thinking that we're making progress when we're really just talking. It's another form of talking. I call it the Saturday night talks because, Saturday night, you're out there having a couple of drinks. You're talking about what you're going to do on Monday. Hey, I'm going to do this business idea. I'm going to work overtime at work. I'm going to get my life together or whatever it might be. But come Monday, when it's time to work overtime, you're like, nah, I'm going to get some extra sleep. When it's time to start that business, when you get home, it's still, okay, you didn't work the overtime. So when you get home, instead of watching the game and ordering pizza, you're making something to eat with what you have there and working on your business, learning something, studying, implementing a strategy. So you have to realize the differences in your minute daily day-to-day actions and how it's working towards your goal. Because if you're not working towards your goal, you're working towards someone else's goal. If you don't have your own goal in mind that you're working towards, you are just helping fuel somebody else's goal. And that's really that makes sense now. I'm sure you've heard that, but that really does make a whole lot more sense now that you're fueling somebody else's goal if you don't have your own goal. Because if you have your own goal and you're working for somebody else, you're working there for your own purpose, for your goal. You're using this job to fuel what you have to do. But if you're there without a purpose, you have now just become a pawn, a player, an indispensable tool in a large and well-oiled machine. Because it's not like your labor is going to your fruits, to your basket. That labor is exponentially helping somebody else with no benefit to you. At least if you go in there with a purpose and a plan, it's for a benefit to you. I hope that makes sense. I'm always taking notes and doing brainstorms because this is all going to be extra content for different podcasts. I might do a roundout podcast, everything that we've talked about. But we're on the topic of social media and how that's, affected the workplace environment right now. And well, at least not necessarily the workplace environment, the environment of the environment of the working from home for entrepreneurs, owners, and professionals like advisors and insurance brokers, not brokers, agents, salespeople, the people that sell insurance. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Social media has become a core, like I said, a core integrated, fundamental situation step. I don't even know what the word is I'm looking for. It has become so core in what we do on a regular basis that it's changed the environment. Like I said, we can fake doing business. We can fake living the lifestyle that we're not actually living because we only post a couple of posts whenever we might have a laptop at the beach. We might be at West Haven Beach. But the people for your audience they're saying you're at the beach with a laptop. That's the lifestyle that he's living. When in reality, it's really a opposing thing. So I just can't, because it upsets me as an entrepreneur and as a starving entrepreneur. I feel like it's almost stealing, because you're presenting somebody with this idea that you make X amount of dollars because you're able to live this fancy lifestyle. So that makes you a guru or an expert. And now they need to pay you $400, $500, $600, $700 for a course that isn't going to teach them anything. And what they do know is they could have simply learned on YouTube for free. I just feel like that's ripping people off, taking advantage of people that don't understand. And that's really one of the big ways social media has changed the work environment. Like I said, for entrepreneurs, owners, and professionals, we are now able to put up a facade of our business, and that's because status is important. It always has been. Before, the structure was how many people know your name. Social media has just given us a visual of that. If you were to take a king and you were able to measure the influence of a king, you are now able to measure the influence of a person based on social media. The king, his influence said he's part of this kingdom and he knows these people. However, that is the extent of who these people are connected to. You don't know the ins and outs of who these people could be connected to. Now with social media, and we're able to see everything, we can see who follows who. Think about it. In the news, when a celebrity unfollows another celebrity, it hits entertainment news. When you are listening to beefs or when people have squabbles over the internet, they make news and it's a point of talking because they have a social status, and that social status is deemed by the social networks. all of the followers give you that status. That's why you're able to see someone having 1.1 million followers. That's their status. That's why Instagram, Twitter, they give out a verification. This is a verified profile, verified status. It's become the social norm. It's become how we measure influence. Social media has become the barometer for how we measure social influence, because you're able to see the impact that somebody has. For example, the renegade dance on TikTok. The little girl on Ellen, she's the girl who made the renegade dance. It goes viral, and now you have influenced a culture. Think about it. That was a huge thing because, one, it was racial, because she originally did not get the credit. And because of social media, the culture, she was now able to get her credit, and now she has influence. So she can start another dance, and now she has influence, and that it can be measured because of social media. The influence this young girl had can be measured by how many people replicated that dance. The same can be said for when someone posts something. I hate talking about it, but the social influence that Donald Trump has is astronomical. If he were to post something on Twitter that even offended probably one person, let's just, because he offends so many people, let's just say he offended so many people, he was able to offend people specifically, it would make national headlines because of social influence, the status of somebody. And that's on social media, and only social media. Yeah. It's become a super crazy world, and how social media has evolved it and changed it. I think I might want to start another podcast called, I have become much more acceptable of blank space. I don't like blank space, but because I don't have a co-host and anything of that natures, and it's not like I'm featuring it from like a stand-up special or something like that. How people do it from when they are at other places. All of my interviews are strictly for my podcast. It's not like, hey, I was interviewed in this particular thing and I'm going to put this on my podcast. No. I mean, I will at some point, but I don't have that. So all of my interviews that I do are strictly for the podcast, and that's why they're exclusive. All of my stuff is exclusive. I also have to take water breaks. Talking a lot gets my mouth pretty dry. So, but yes, life has changed, even in the short time of just 10 years. I talked about this in a previous podcast, but I want to bring it up and talk about it just a little bit more in depth. And it's the idea of how much things have changed, because I brought up the CNN helicopter newscaster guy. His job in 10 years was replaced by a tiny drone. I don't know if you guys were seeing the picture, but it was in 2009, a breaking news cameraman on a CNN helicopter, versus 2019, a CNN labeled drone with a camera on it. Social media has caused that, almost, I would like to say. You can live stream that from a small device without having a human present there. So you're out of danger. So you're no longer putting people in harm's way. It's easier accessible for, it's just changed so much. And I'm excited for the new changes, for whatever's going forward. And that's really what I've based my business on, because search optimization in the future, I feel, is going to be a big thing. People are going to say, hey, Google, hey, Siri, hey, Alexa, hey, Bixby, hey, Cortana. It's slowly been creeping into our everyday lives, down to our remote. If you are starting to get the new TVs, anything from this point forward, you can speak to your remote to tell it what to do for the TV. You can speak to your phone to tell it what to do. You can almost use your phone virtually hands-free. I have Siri on my laptop. You can get Cortana on a Windows laptop. So technology and the social aspect of it is definitely taking a huge rocket ship in these next 10 years, because the last 10 years were, I'd say, the foundation of it. So we had, MySpace, Facebook, Twitter. Now we're getting towards the end, TikTok, video. We went from things being text platforms such as MySpace, where it's predominantly, communication through words. Then we were moving towards Facebook and Instagram, where it's predominantly communication through words and pictures. And now we're moving towards an era in the last 5 years, 2015 to 2020, where we've had apps like Vine, Musically, and now TikTok. And we also have Thriller, or whatever that app is called, as well as Quibi just released, which is 10-minute video segments. So we're now moving into communicating video wise. With this whole coronavirus, Zoom has seen a huge increase in active users. So video now is becoming the way of the future. So if you're looking at the pattern, voice has slowly crept into our lives. It started with the "Hey Siri," "Hey Bixby," "Hey Google," "Hey Alexa." Then it moved into the remotes. Hey Xfinity, change the channel, put this on, record this. Now we have it on laptops. Now we have it in the Xbox, where it's like, hey, Xbox, record this, do this, open this game. We have in-home systems dedicated to just voice speakers, in-home speakers that are there to be in-home computers, if you will. They're there to be the voice control of your house. Smart controlled houses are even becoming a thing. So like technology and social media has caused for a huge, tremendous change in how we just live and operate. Not even just work. I can't even limit how social media has changed us to just work. It's our entire lives. The technology and social, era of 2010 to 2020 was I'm going to say just the beginning. It was the base of what we have to come that's new. If we are now having, video camera, think of this. We have had video cameras for a long time. People have been video chatting forever. Not forever, but since, I'd say, probably like early 2000s, when we've had Skype, we used to use Uvu, all of like those chat roulette sites and everything, but you had to have a webcam. Now the webcams are built in. Now Facebook has video chat. Instagram has video chat. Snapchat has video chat. It's gotten to the point where now it's not only on our phones, it's now its own device. You can go out and buy a Facebook portal, which will allow you to call people, video chat them. It's really something that just kind of stays in a space and will allow you to it's a strictly video chat device. So there's absolutely nothing that you can tell me that doesn't allow me to believe that voice is going to be the way of the future. It's the patterns of social and technological advancement in just 2010, 2020 show that alone. Literally, we can see that in just 10 years, social media has gone from something that you just post online to now it's become a way of life. It's a lifestyle. Social media is its own lifestyle at this point, because you've heard me say before, who you are on social media is who you are off social media. Because off social media and on social media, you are making the same jokes. You are the same person. There is nothing different about your personality, about your character, about your judgment, about the things that you're saying that change with social media. So if you're going to say a racist joke on social media, The people that you have on social media are likely your friends or people that you're at least comfortable with. So if you're comfortable with them knowing or seeing that that came out of, your mouth per se, I'm sure you would have no doubts or no qualms with saying it in person, saying it in the privacy of just you guys, where you guys think you're saying it in the privacy of your social media, but you have, I guess, yet to understand that who you are on social media, or in certain cases, what you are, is the same person you are off social media. Because people change. People do not change. Social media and technology will change. People don't change. There's people still talking about you behind your back, still judging. It is just now able to be seen, posted, tracked, and shared because of the change of social media. And that's really a huge thing because, like I said, 10 years ago, like I love bringing this up because I love repeating myself sometimes. It lets me know that I'm hammering home my point. So 10 years ago, social media was just a regular posting thing. Everyone was posting, oh, how is swag going to pay the bills? How are likes going to pay the bills? You're a Facebook comedian. That's not going to get you anywhere in life. Fast forward to 5 years later, when I graduated high school in 2015, all of a sudden, Facebook comedians, Instagram models, influencers, YouTubers have taken a huge rise to now in 2020, we recognize YouTube stars, Instagram stars, Facebook stars as regular celebrities. They're regular celebrities now. YouTubers, Instagrammers, Facebookers, comedians, Instagram models are now celebrities because they of that social status that we talked about earlier, and how the social media has now changed in given us the new age. So for everyone 10 years ago, including myself, that agreed with certain people and was proven outstandingly wrong, social media has changed because, like I said, 10 years ago, you were just posting, making your videos, going about your day, and enjoying yourself on social media. Nowadays, you can actually make money. Instagram models, they're paid. Facebook comedians, they're paid. YouTubers, they're paid. So 10 years ago, when you were asking, oh, how is swag? How is likes? How are your looks on Instagram? How is anything social media related going to pay your bills? How is it going to help further you in as a career? Boy, were we wrong. Because 10 years later, now all of us, including myself, are trying to scramble on social media to have a presence, to have a say, and get a little piece of that internet money, that social media money. It's absolutely crazy how things have changed in literally just 10 years of my life, where we went from social media being almost demonized to it still being demonized, however, for no reason, because now you actually can make the money on it. It's a platform, it gives people a voice. It's the new way of almost interviewing people. It's people don't even want them jobs to look at their Facebook or their social media because they're afraid of what that was, on your social media should be protected. I think that it's a great judge of character, actually. We should all be checking your social media because what you post on your social media is an indicator of what you think. Because when you posted it, that is what you were thinking. Facebook didn't post that on its own. Your friends didn't post that. You posted it, which means you thought about it, you typed it out, and then you wrote it. It's simple. So that's why I'm saying who you are on social media is who you are on real life because it's what you are actually doing in real life. In order for you to do something on social media, you have actually, in real life, had to have thought about it and then taken action on it. So if social media, which is just another form of people talking, was a huge room, was a huge room full of people, the people in that room would make those same comments if they were the same people that were on their Facebook. So if you took a group of people that were all friends on Facebook that say things, chances are they are not even chances. They are 100% going to say the same things that they were saying to those same friends on Facebook in real life and in person. So do you think that when J Rocket 93 says inappropriate language and cusses you out and maybe calls you slurs, do you think that it's like that's not what he actually thinks and that it's just social media? Oh, that was for social media. No, so when someone says, "Oh, that's for social media," that's only for my social media. So you're telling me you want to portray yourself as this person in front of people that know you. That's what you just said. It's for social media. Right. So you're going to portray yourself, say these particular things, or act a certain way for people that you want to know you. So that's what they're going to know you for. So you're saying that's what you want to be known for. That's all I'm saying. And that's really crazy how this shift has gone. And that's what social media has done. It has brought to light the thoughts that people were once able to keep to themselves. Because as we know, people can't hold water worth a goddamn. And I'm able to say that because that's not like a real cuss word. We do interviews now online, Zoom, like with this whole coronavirus thing. A lot of people are if they're having interviews, it's online via Zoom, via Skype, via Google Hangout. This coronavirus is such a way to see how technology is an advancement for us. Because how would a lot of us fare? Think about it. If this coronavirus hit in, say, the early 2000s, 1900s, we would be devastated. Like, what? Could you imagine in 1950 they closed down the world? Could you imagine that? If everything started closing down, if not because they were going out of business, not because of no money, but if things started closing down because of a virus in 1950, in 1960, 1970, early 2000s even, we would not be able to have the same response that we have today. Because we can work from home now. We're able to do so many different things because of technology, and that really is the advancement. That's why it's advancement. And for the people that demonize technology, I feel terribly sorry for you because you grew up with it, with your own technology. Whatever technology you grew up with in your era was not the same technology that your parents grew up with. It's always going to keep going further. It's always going to keep advancing. So keep up. Stop making excuses and keep up. Oh, no, you didn't grow up with technology. No, but you learned how to drive a car. Like I said, do, execute, and repeat. You don't have to know how to use it as soon as it comes out. Take your time. There is going to be a learning curve. There always is a learning curve. There's a learning curve when you had to learn how to work the TV. There was a learning curve when you had to learn how to work a remote, when you went from getting up to change the channel on the TV to changing it with the remote. The generation that grew up with the remote, they don't even look at the remote when they're changing the channel. They just press buttons. You sit there looking at it, changing the buttons. But that's fine. Keep up with it because it's only going to get more advanced. What's going to happen when there's literally only one button and you have to speak? Make sure you have the commands down. Make sure, you've never spoken to a TV. You're going to have to learn. Technology and social media has changed everything that we're doing. And it's making it easier, better in a lot of cases. Social media, like I said, is literally just the word of mouth. Word of mouth is people talking. While it's its own category of branding and marketing, when it comes down to what social media is, it's one human being interacting with another human being. That's what it is, over the internet. One human being interacting with another human being over the internet. That is what social media is. What is word of mouth? One person telling another person about a product or service. That is word of mouth. However, social media, because of it being a platform, you're now able to reach those people without it spreading via word of mouth. However, the only way for it to reach that amount of people is for it to spread by word of mouth. You can market to all of Facebook. You have the ability, if you have the budget, to go on, run Facebook ads and market to Facebook. However, without traction, without people actually giving a damn the content that you're posting, it's not going to pick up or matter. So you have the ability to market to everybody, and if nobody talks about it, you still will not pick up traction. It's ridiculous. Everything has changed nowadays, and that's what I'm doing my business for. That's what my business is predicated on, the future and how things are shifting. I'm just following the trends. What are you doing? Hey Ramblers, before you go, make sure you're following us on social media at Assistance HQ across the board for all content and exclusives. And for an even more personal touch, subscribe to our weekly newsletter with the link in the description.